Welcome back to OpenLine, talking about the Nashville Film Festival. I have with us the artistic director for this year's festival and our many past years, Brian Owens. And we're just kind of going through some of the movies, which is always so fun to do. I want to talk next about The White King. So we're going to play the whole trailer for that, but what do we need to know about that?
The thing I liked about The White King is it's also proof that a lot of these films can also appeal to a wide audience, a mainstream audience. This is sort of an independent and more psychologically based take on something like Hunger Games. It's set in a future dictatorship, but again, more about how a young boy deals with living under such a regime after his father is arrested by the totalitarian government.
Very interesting. Okay, let's take a look at the trailer, then we'll talk some more about it.
Left! Up!
At the beginning, we were just a young nation of dreamers, completely committed to the building of our new world. We can live freely.
Just give me the name of someone, anyone who can help.
Closer to the nature that we all love.
Don't blindly believe anyone.
Good will always triumph.
The homeland is cruel.
Is it ours? No! Is it ours? No! Is it ours?
Don't be scared. We're all hunters.
Shoot!
We all have to lose something. If not, you're a traitor.
You have a great future ahead of you.
I will not have them brainwash you!
We must make sacrifices today for a greater tomorrow.
Very compelling.
Yeah.
A lot. Well, first of all, when will that air? When will
that's over the first weekend, Saturday night, and then come back on Sunday.
All right, that looks really good. And you see at the beginning there all the film festivals this is going to. So somebody makes that movie. How do you come across it? And I guess what is their goal? Is it to go to lots of film festivals? How does that world work?
Yeah. Well, there's two different paths that they could take. Some will aim only at like the giants, like Sundance or Toronto, and hope that they get picked up there. That can work for some, but even at Sundance, only about 20% of those films get picked up.
And when you say picked up, you mean for mass distribution?
Right, for mass distribution,
right.
For someone to buy them and then move them into theaters later down the line. In this case, with something like The White King, it premiered at the Edinburgh Film Festival in Scotland. It was partially an English production. Actually shot entirely in Hungary, which is that scenery that you just saw there. And then it moved over to the US. It actually played in Cleveland just literally, I think, last week. And then we're the southeastern US premiere on the film. And then their hope is that along that journey, someone will see it. I do know, I can't give any details, but I do know that they're in negotiations now with a possible distributor. We're hoping to see something good happen for those filmmakers, possibly at the festival, but if not, before or after. But
absolutely. And that's, there are these different tiers. I mean, so you talked about you get these thousands of entries, and there's some that are maybe first time. That's clearly a high-end, high-tier thing, looking for mass major distribution.
I will tell you this, those are their first-time filmmakers, though. That's a debut. Yeah, it's a husband and wife team that crafted the film, and they did a fantastic job.
And so when you go to a place like Sundance, which you go to, how competitive is it for you and for Nashville to get these films and tie them down? Some of the top tier films. You were talking about Patty Cakes, the one you wanted to see.
It depends. There's a few ways it can go. It can either not necessarily get picked up by a distributor, which sometimes can work in my favor to bring it here. It can get picked up by a distributor quickly, like Patty Cakes and Step did, and it can be a distributor that I have a good relationship with and work with all the time, like Fox Searchlight. Shout out to Russell. Or they can get stuck in negotiations. And there's actually even like a couple of films that had ties to Nashville that I was expecting to get, that'll be easy. But then they end up getting sort of bogged down between the producers and the potential distributors, and if they're stuck in negotiation, it's pulled off the table. And so there's a few films that I desperately wanted to show to our audience here, and I wanted to share that we're not going to be able to due to those things happening. Not a lot of people recognize some of the things that happen in the background that make it impossible for us to show a film, but they happen all the time.
Oh, I bet, and I bet it's kind of a fascinating dynamic there. And then overall, in the film festival world, you know, you said Cleveland, and of course we've all heard of Sundance and those big film festivals. How healthy is that world? So look even beyond Nashville. I mean, do you think it's a world that's growing? Is it maintaining? I mean, what about the state of that?
The state of the film festival, I think, is very solid. You have your giants, as I mentioned earlier. I mean, Sundance, Toronto. That's where a whole lot of business gets made. Then you have your top regional festivals, and that's where we would fit in. I think, like, for the Southeast, we're definitely, if not the top, among the top film festivals in the Southeast. Whereas Cleveland, you would look at the Midwest and see them as one of the top film festivals there. Seattle, the Pacific Northwest, and San Francisco on the West Coast, Los Angeles Film Festival as well. Interestingly enough, film festivals don't matter quite as much in LA because that's what they do all the time anyway. You know, we are, like, depending on who you ask, anywhere from the 3rd to 5th oldest festival in the country. Some took a few years off for one reason or another, and so they still say that they're that we're, like, continuously running, you know, so it depends on the argument, but you know, this is our 48th year. An interesting statistic on the health of the film festival industry: there's 15,000 film festivals in the United States alone, let alone around the world.
Interesting.
However, the vast majority of them don't make it to a 3rd year. So to be 48, I think, says a lot.
Absolutely. And what's your vision, I guess, for Nashville? Where do you want to see Nashville in 5, 10 years? The festival's making a move from Regal, you know, Green Hills to the Hollywood 27. I guess what's your vision? You
know, we've got our 50th anniversary coming up, and a lot of that future vision is going to be based around that 50th anniversary. You know, we really want to solidify our spot in the city. And our relationships with some of the companies and the local government. I mean, it's a good relationship, don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to say, but, like, you know, we really want everyone around us for the 50th anniversary. There's very few festivals that have celebrated 50th anniversaries, even in the world, let alone. I think the oldest one in the world is Venice, and it's going in, I think it's 67th. So
wow.
We're not that much younger than the oldest festival in the world. And we also want to utilize that to really sort of, like, jump off the second half century. And by that, we want our audience here in town to have the same experience that they've always had. They want to enjoy the movies, but we want to increase the industry presence, hopefully in ways that our main audience doesn't know, other than the fact that by increasing that industry presence, we're even drawing more and more celebrities in because they need to be here to make things happen. And that's really the goal. And that's part of the expansion of the Creators Conference that we've added this year. And last year we began a program of bringing in some of these distributors. And we did have the documentary about Colin Hay, Waiting for My Real Life, lead singer of Men at Work, actually got picked up by a distributor here at our festival last year. We hope to see more of that happen as the years move on.
So that happened at the festival.
Yeah.
That's great. And yeah, some festivals are spread out. I've always enjoyed at this festival, you kind of go and it's right there. You can park your car and it's all right there. I think there's some festivals where you'd have to drive from place to place. Now that could show growth. Do you think you would see a time where it would expand to, I don't know, the Bell Court, and it would be at multiple theaters around town?
You know, that's always a possibility. I would still try to program it from the sense that if we were in multiple spots, I would hope to program it in the sense that, like, you could pick that spot and still keep your car parked there all day and enjoy everything. You know, like, I go to Toronto, and it does require moving around the city some. Thankfully, they have a really extensive public transportation system, so you can hop on a streetcar or the train and get to the next theater fairly quickly and easily. But even Sundance, they expand their bus lines so that you can get around Park City in the 2 feet of snow in January to move from space to space. So, you know, I would not foresee us doing some sort of expansion like that unless also there was some sort of working with the public transportation system, so that even if you did park your car in one space, but you wanted to see a movie in a different theater, that you could hop on a bus and it could get you to where you need to be.
That's what you want to do.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to take a break. We're going to come back, and then just in our final moments, just give us a list, I guess, of the top movies we should go see, or opening night or something. We'll take a break. Be back right after this.